Hey everyone, in this video I'll show how to use Google Spreadsheet in order to find the minimum, the maximum, the mean, the median, quartiles, and outliers of a univariate data set.
Right, for an example, I have a data sample of 50 data points, and my samples, my data starts at A6. So I just want to say, so the data sample one, I just want to make a quick note, right? It starts at A6 and it goes down to the last point is in A55. So I just want to make sure that I know where my data is. 55. Okay. So then some important statistics are the 5 summary numbers, which is mean the first quartile, the third quartile, the maximum value, and the median. And some other statistics is the mean and the variance and the standard deviations. And they will show you how to identify outliers using the formula that we can use in order to detect any outliers for the data set. So let's first start with the mean. So most of the functions for statistics, you can use this in under insert and go to functions and go to statistical. Um, you see this is the average that will help you find the mean, right? But we are finding the minimum value. So the minimum value should be down here. So this is maximum value and this is minimum value, min. And then you just type the array or the column of the data that you store where in where you store your data. So I store my data in the first column A from the row 6 to row 55. So I would say A6 uh, con and then A655, enter. And that will give you the minimum value of this data set. And well, let's go to the maximum. It's very similar in search functions, statistical, and you know that it's max, right? So go down to maximum here. So max, again, you enter where the data start. It should be A6, A55. Okay, and you get the maximum value, which is 75. All right. For the median, so median is the second quartile, and we can find the first quartile, third quartile, and the second quartile using the quartile functions. So if you go in search, again, function statistical, go down to quartiles here, okay? Then you just enter your data. First you enter data, and then second you enter the number of quartile. So the data is still A6 to A55, and this is the first quartile. I enter 1. Okay, very similar that you can find the third quartile by entering the data in A55, and this is third. And again, the median is the second quartile, so you can again, what functions, statistical quartile, A5, A6, A55, and second. So you found the 5 summary numbers for the data set. Now go to the mean. The mean is actually the average, right? And then you can see that you can go to function statistical average here, numerical average value in the data sets, and again, just enter your data. Okay, variance. You can find the variance functions in statistical, which is here, variance, again, enter the data. The standard deviations, in theory, standard deviations is the square root of the variance. but I think you can also find the standard deviations here, right here, of A6, A55, and you get standard deviations. So those are some important statistics for a sample, right, of numerical sample or quantitative sample. Now, how can you identify outliers? So in our lectures, we can identify outliers using interquartile range. And the interquartile range here equals to the third quartile and minus the first quartile. And then in order to determine the lower bound for outliers and upper bound for outliers, we can use the formula. So the lower bound equals to the first quartile minus 1.5 times the IQR. Okay. And the upper bound is the third quartile. So you should say equals to the third quartile plus 1.5 times the interquartile range. Enter. All right. So any values that is less than negative 14.185 or greater than 50.875 are outliers. So then we can try to find numbers that are within this range, right? And we don't have any negative values here, so that means we don't have any outliers on the left side, but we might have some outliers on the right side because this is a maximum of 75, so we might have some outliers here. How can we determine outliers using functions, using like some functions here? So I create like an outliers column, and I would use the OR functions. So I would say my point A6 here, right? A value A6, if it's greater than, if it's less than negative, if it's less than negative, I would say, I put the values in, less than negative 14.125, which is the lower bound, or A6 is greater than 50.875. And it will give you either is false or not, right? So one is not less than negative 14.125 or greater than 50.875. So it will give you the results as false. And then if I carry this down, will give you like for each data entry. So for it's changed to A7 and then it's changed to A8, right? If I carry this down, it will give you, if false, that means these values so are not outliers. One of the values will be a value will be an outlier if the result is true. Okay, so we look at this outliers columns, all of them are false, only one of the values is true, which is 75. So we know that we have one outlier, which is 75. All right, this videos here show you how to find some important statistics using Google Spreadsheets and how to identify outliers using the function OR.